How's it going, everybody? Today we're going to talk about swatting, my experience with it, how it happened to me, and how my assailant got away with it. This way, if you guys wanted to learn any tips and tricks for your own social humor, you might not have to deal with any pesky problems from the police. Okay, so how it happened to me and how it started. A couple weeks ago, my niece had reached out. This is my setup at home that I game and stream off of. She had reached out and asked me for help setting up her OBS, open broadcast software. I'm estranged from my niece. She has a 3-year-old daughter I've never met. She's down in Florida. I mean, a lot of people know this about my personal life, so I had no real reason to say yes, but I still did, right? Because I am a recovery guy. Footprints in the sand. Oh, wrong arm. um, right. And a whole part of that is to regain your place in the community and your family. Right. So against my better judgment, I helped her with the software, and it was only against my better judgment because I was told by two previous boyfriends, Michael in the Blue Mustang and Liam from Portsmouth, that she did in fact have an OnlyFans account, and this is concerning, right, to any family member. So I had showed her how to use the software, the chroma key, and all that, and I had told her from an uncle's point, this is powerful software, use it responsibly. If you want to open up a daycare in a couple of years, right? You don't want to be, that girl, right? And shortly after, we start seeing, I'm logging into Twitch, and your niece is live, and this is what you're seeing. Um, Very disheartening. The wigs, the costumes are very much conducive with the previous accusations of the OnlyFans account. So with that concern, I messaged my mom. My mom is her grandma. My mom raised her like a daughter. My mom must have mentioned something to her, and I got this response on a random post on Facebook, completely unrelated to the topic. Um, Karma's a real bitch, and I should have picked it up then that she was going to be plotting some kind of revenge. Shortly after, I got a message from my sister, maybe a day or two later, at 2:46 in the morning. My sister's known throughout, the past 20 years to start problems past midnight. She seems to have a problem with alcohol and the whole 3 a.m. drunk text your ex, right? And no, she like drunk text me looking for problems, right? And so here we are, 2:46 in the morning. It's on a Thursday, so she's got to wake up in 3 or 4 hours to go to school with those kids. Stop harassing my kids, my family. She's talking about the conversation that I had with my mom about Kayla's content. However, Kayla portrayed that conversation to my sister, obviously triggered my sister enough to want to argue about it at 2:46 in the morning. I did not receive this message at 2:46 in the morning. I woke up at 5 and I responded to her then. I later got a phone call from a Tiverton police officer claiming to have seen the messages and telling me to stop harassing my sister. And I was like, "Oh, good. So you saw the message from 2:46 in the morning? Oh, well, I must have missed that one." Hey, sure you did. Right? But why just take my sister's word? Right? That's a question. So now that we're over here in Coventry, the problems are persistent. We're calling Coventry police. We're getting put off. I go down to the courthouse, try to file for a no contact or whatever, and they deny me, which is ridiculous. If I was a 19-year-old white girl talking about my boyfriends bothering me on Facebook, they would have approved this, and I think a lot of people would agree with that. So now that we get the attention of the court, we're denied with a hearing. Now we're finally getting, after 20 years of dealing with this crap, we're starting to get some attention from the police, where they're now asking to send us emailed statements and screenshots, evidence, whatever. So you'll see the first one at the bottom says, "My story starts 20 years ago, getting dropped. The rest of that is off at a homeless shelter after I wasn't worth a child support check," which is very known. It's very widely known around town what happened to me. The next one up would be the swatting, which we're talking about today and we're getting to. And me trying to even say, articulated, right, on a platter or whatever, proven and articulated on a platter. Um, So we're going to open up that particular email, the one with the 20-year back history. I'm not explaining all that to you guys right now. So here's that email. It's a brief sum up about the swatting incident, and you can see right below there are some images attached. Those images attached are the definition of swatting. There's two officers that I had to argue with over the definition of swatting, and that I was apparently using the terminology wrong, as no SWAT officers were involved. The definition of swatting says the action or practice of making a prank call to emergency services in an attempt to bring about a dispatch of large number of armed police officers to a particular address. That is exactly what happened to me. I also attached a screenshot. Is swatting a Twitch trend? Yes, swatting is a trend on Twitch, where pranksters call emergency services, and they hope that this happens on the other person's live stream, which is exactly what happened to me. The footage that you're seeing behind these screenshots, and why you see me get up, walk away, and restart my stream, is because that's the footage from the night that I got swatted. The police don't believe that this is a crime. They say that she did not swat you. She called in a wellness check. All right. The feds think otherwise. Now, here's why. Right. When I called, Coventry said they got a call from Tiverton that said I was threatening self-harm. I called Tiverton. I talked to a lieutenant. He said he got a screenshot from my sister from Twitch.com. My sister doesn't have a Twitch. She doesn't game. She doesn't anything. The only person with a Twitch is my niece. My niece who said calm as a bitch. My niece who a week before had already sent my sister after me at 2:40 something in the morning. My niece took the screenshot, sent it to my sister, because she knew that my sister would make a scene about it and whatever story that they convoluted. Why, though, again, is she getting like the blind support and almost biased treatment from our local police departments? This is her husband. For the past 10 years, he's been running for town council, hasn't made it. Town council had a passing. A man passed away. They needed a warm body to fill the seat. They said, Dave, here's your chance. Show us you can do it, kid. My sister interpreted that as he's permanently elected into town councilman. My husband's the man. I got the power. So whenever I would try to make a report against my sister for the past 20 years, it is not taken seriously. It is immediately thrown out. Dave has proven himself not to be the best candidate for this position. Here you'll see appalling behavior from Dave Paul from TivertonFactCheck.org, articulating how he was sitting in the back of town hall meetings yelling obscenities. And to the right there is from OceanStateCurrent.com, bringing up very problematic budgeting problems, whatever you want to say. Yeah, take a look at that article with the casino and the budgeting. That one was pretty recent too, 4 years ago, something like that, right before he got into office over there. So this is going to start to tell you now why they think they're allowed to operate with impunity, right? And they can harass me, messaging my wife at 12:30 in the morning, right? Hey, so I heard you're dating my brother. Be careful. He's dangerous, a felon. She goes on to say the worst things that she could possibly think to say about me. And she makes sure to end it with, take care, be safe, right? Because, I'm just concerned, right? No, she's not concerned. Right? Anybody that knows me knows that her time to be concerned was 10 to 20 years ago when I was struggling in life and they dropped me off at a homeless shelter, but nobody was freaking concerned. Right now, the only concern that they have is that I'm actually living good. And they don't want that because it doesn't match their narrative. Brian the junkie, right? Why they don't invite me to Christmas and all this other crap. They're not ready to accept my amends, my step 8, step 9. That's fine, right? I understand. But you're not allowed to be messaging people like this, right? My ex-fiance, business peers, personal friends. This is not concern. This is slander hidden by concern. The same way that my swatting incident was swatting hidden by concern. Now you're going to say, well, Brian, what do you do about this? Well, it's the same as a B0MB threat, right? If I was to call in what we'll call it BT for right now, if I was to call a BT in at the local school and there was actually a TikToky thing in the basement, they'd say, you're a hero. Just like if I was actually threatening to hurt myself and they showed up here and they saved the day, my sister would then be the hero. But if I had no reason to believe that there was a TikToky thing in the school, I have no business calling in. And that's a B threat. That's a what we're talking about. Just like this here. This is not. I'm concerned there might be something in the basement. Well, that means that anybody who's ever made a B0MB threat could simply just have that defense ready for themselves, right? Because anybody can have concern that anything could happen. I could be concerned that my sister tried, uh, meth tonight for the first time ever, right? That could be a valid concern. To a lunatic, sure, but it could be a valid concern. Does it mean I need to call emergency services right now and send them to her house at it's 12:53 a.m. right now, making this video? No. You see what I'm saying? It's kind of a delusion at that, right? The fact that my sister trying meth, no, right? No. So this is how now you can articulate that this is a prank, right? The same way that the false B0MB threat would be a prank, right? And they're allowed to get away with it because husband's town councilman. This is like small town corruption at its finest. And if you do a Google search for Tiverton, you're going to see that it's not looking so hot. Same with some of the surrounding areas. It's it's hard, it's very difficult to go through. In early recovery, this stuff pushed me. I was hospitalized numerous times. If I don't know if you guys can tell right now, man, but right, and just talking about it, right, this is trauma to me, right, and I'm trying to air it, share it, right. There's some validity to what I'm saying. There's a reason why the trauma is present, and I need to make that aware. I need to make people aware, right, of my truth, what's actually going on. Because if this is the mentality that's taking over town council, this is the backing that they have. It's more of a tyrannical uh, type agenda. Um, that's something that the towns themselves need to be aware of, right? Because when something bad happens in the future, people like me are going to only be able to say, I told you so, and nobody else wanted to listen. So, ironically, Coventry PD, who has been ignoring my reports this month, put up May is Mental Health Awareness Month. They have been made aware that their actions are impacting my mental health in right these serious ways. You see what I'm saying? I probably, yeah, you can maybe be able to see, right? Yeah, not so much, but it affects anybody who has anxiety, social anxieties, anybody who has PTSD. I'm sure they can relate to those tremors, right? And the fact that what I call stress sweat, or when the PTSD is active, it actually has a different aroma than like sweat when you're working out. This affects us, in the deepest of ways. It affects us physically, it affects us emotionally, it affects us mentally. And when people are allowed to act like this, and who's to blame for the outcome? What if something bad happens to me? What if I relapsed because of all of this? And what if I overdosed, not on purpose, but because of all, right? Who's to blame? You see what I'm saying? Like this guy got off the drugs. 2% of people get off the drugs. He broke the 85% recidivism rate. He owns a small business. He just got married. What went so wrong? This is what went wrong. Recently, a post went up by my niece's sister-in-law, who I have no relationship with. My 25-year-old niece's 57-year-old husband's older sister, who I've never met, made this post. Shortly after, my wife got a message blaming, with the finger of blame, really contacting my crazy sister-in-law. Ask them, all of us are apparently crazy. I'm crazy. My Aunt Nancy's crazy. This Dia lady is crazy. We're all just crazy. No, we're just the ones that see through your bullshit. And you just try to label us as crazy. Darvo, Darvo, right? Deflect, accuse, reallocate, victim, and offender, right? And that's exactly how they do everything, right? And she had states here, you are a woman. Women are supposed to support other women, right? And that's been the story of my life, right? It's been a girls' club, and I've said that for years. I watched my parents' divorce go down, my father getting arrested left and right. Never any real evidence on him, just, our stories match up. You know what I'm saying? And the exact same thing happened to me later. And right here, my niece really thinks that my wife is going to turn her back on me to support her. And that's how far these delusions go. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. I really hope that the message reached who it needs to. Be safe, take care of yourself and each other.